We're getting to the end of 2024, and this gives us a great opportunity to look not only back on what was previously happening this year, but also looking at what's here for the rest of the year and into Q1. And one topic that I really love concentrating on right now is taking a good look and looking at networking. I just finished up a speaking engagement with a local networking group, and the topic of the presentation was called How to Turn Your Network into a Strategic Referral Machine. And I thought I'd just jump on and share a few tips with you here. Let's look at really what is networking. You know, networking is really, we learn from a very young age, even when we were in kindergarten, how to make friends, right? To be nice and kind to someone, to offer to help other people, and to build that relationship that can last a long while. Well, that's really what networking is. Most people don't think a lot when it comes to networking. They see a networking event, they show up, they talk about what they do, they meet other people, and then they go on. And they really don't have a strategic plan as a way to maximize the time that they spend. So today, what I want to do is really give you an idea, a different way to look at networking, because we're all in business development, right? Whether you own your own business, whether you work for a company, we're always looking to attract the right people and know exactly who those people are so we can have other people send them to us as well. You're going to be much more effective if you have a plan. But before you begin networking, I'd like to challenge you. Why is it that you are networking? Why are you spending the time? Why are you investing the time to do this? And, you know, I want to go back to when I first started my business. Networking before that time, when I'd worked for another company, I really didn't understand what it was. I didn't understand what you were supposed to do when you go to an event. Were you supposed to collect business cards? What did you do with them? I wasn't really sure. But if you look at networking as this is time I'm investing in my business, I'm investing in my brand awareness, and have a plan, then you can find a great return on your investment. So networking is really about farming for resources, looking for people that you can add to your network. So when someone comes to you, you can be a value resource for them. Oh, I've got someone who can help you with that. But before we begin networking, you have to make that commitment. What is it that you are willing to do? And you need to be there 100%. If you're only going to give 50%, then why even go? So let's look at to see what it is that's going to get you to 100%. The first thing is being present. Being present and giving the person that you're speaking with your full and undivided attention. Yes, you may see someone over there in the corner that you do want to speak with later. But right now, right then and there, you have to give that other person your full attention. So one, they know that you're listening. And two, it's part of that building a friendship, of building that relationship, making them feel like they're the most important person in the room. When you are present, it will go very far. And so the second part is you want to be interested, not just being present to listening to them, but being interested. And it goes on to being curious, to ask the right type of questions, right? What are the things that you need to know to get further into an understanding of what you do? And we know that when you are interested in others, that's the way you can become interesting. All right. So why are you networking? We've got that set to the side. Know why you're there. It's to build your brand. It's to develop those relationships that you can use to help other people. Before you start networking, you have to do a little bit more work, though, besides knowing why you're doing it. You have to uncover your value. All right. So if you are a member of someone's network, you have to bring some value with you. And so the first thing that you can do is really spend some time and look at who is the person you like to work with. When you're conversing with others and they ask, what can I do to help you? You have to be able to know who is it that you want them to send to you. Okay? Who is that person? Who is that ideal client? And what are the problems that they have? How can we recognize that person if we see them? What are the things they say? So first thing, uncovering your value. Know who it is that you want to be referred to. The second thing is looking at your skills and expertise. What are the things that you specifically have developed some really great skills that you can solve a problem in maybe a different way? You can solve a problem more quickly. You can solve it more deeply. What is the wrinkle that you bring into your experience that other people don't have? What is it that makes you stand out? How do you differentiate yourself? And you've got all these skills and expertise. What is your point of view about what's going on in the industry? How can you shift someone's paradigm that makes you really stand out as that extra value? All right. And then the third thing is when you know the people in your network, who is it that you know? Who are the people that you can refer others to? So your value you're showing up with is number one, again, what is it that you can tell people on who you work with and the problem that you solve? Second, what are the skills and expertise you bring to the table? And third, who is it that you know? All right, so that's the value you bring. The added value you're going to look at is your message. How can you create this clear and compelling message that people will be able to remember you? Many times in a networking event that shows up as an elevator pitch. Now, if you think about an elevator pitch, it's not very long. And where the term came from is the Hollywood screenwriters that would see the producers get on the elevator to go up to their office. They would get on that same elevator, and they only had that limited amount of time, that elevator ride, to be able to communicate their idea. And it wasn't to sell the idea right then and there. No, it was to be able to have the next conversation. So at a networking event, your elevator pitch is not there to sell. It's there to pique interest. So what are the things that we need to know in an elevator pitch? I'm going to give you 3. First, tell me, who is it that you work with? Who do I refer you to? Who should I be looking for? And second, what is the problem that you solve? That's the second thing. And if you see, we're creating a story here. Who it is, what is their problem? And finally, what is the transformation you provide on the other side of working with you? Now, I know that we all sell a product or service, and that's fine, but people aren't buying your product and service. They're buying the transformation on the other side of working with you. Okay, so once we've uncovered your value, next we need to look at who is it that you need to meet. And again, this is even before the networking event starts. Who is it that you need to meet? The biggest mistake most people make at a networking event is thinking that the person they're speaking with is the prospective client. And yes, it may be. But if you can talk in third person about this person that you can help and what you're able to do for them, then that helps it kind of move in a little bit easier into developing that relationship. And you think about networking when you don't know someone. You first go from unknown to maybe they hand you their business card. And then you gradually maybe see them at another event and you recognize them. But it's only when you get to have that next conversation that you're able to move the relationship forward. So whether this is a coffee, whether it's a Zoom follow-up meeting, you want to be able to sit down and understand really who it is, what their story is, and to be able to connect with them. That moves you further along in the conversation. Then what we have are our gate openers. So when you move to a gate opener stage, these are people when someone asks them, hey, I've got a problem. Do you know someone who can help me? Your name comes to mind. All right. Your name comes to mind. You are easily referable. They really believe in what you're doing and they know you're going to make them look good. But there's one level that's even above it, and that is a strategic referral partner. So let's talk about what a strategic referral partner is. They are someone, when they're working with a client, the client doesn't even have to say anything. They can recognize, oh, I need to refer you to this person. All right. They're looking for opportunities for you. You are immediately in their inner circle as someone that they feel that they can trust to others. So as you go to a networking event, who are the strategic referral partners that you are ultimately trying to find and build? So a strategic referral partner, a great way to look at this, is as you are offering your product or service, who are the people that work with your client before they get to you? What is it that your client needs to have before they're ready to work with you? And who are the people that offer it? Those are people that can become strategic referral partners, and you can refer back and forth. If someone comes to you and they're not ready yet to work with you, you can refer back to that person. The second person that could become a strategic referral partner for you is someone that you work alongside of. So I'll give you a personal example. All right, when I work with people to help them understand what is the unique value they provide, how do they do it in a certain way, we create their message together, that clear and compelling, magnetizing message, and then they're ready to start in their marketing. Whether it's a one-pager or whether it's their website or even starting a business, they're going to need some visual design. And so I bring in my graphic designer, my copywriting partner, and bring in those people. And so we work alongside them. So the same thing goes. If my graphic designer has someone who needs help developing who they are and that identity, she will bring me in as well. So second is a strategic partner, is someone that you collaborate with. And the third strategic partner is someone that you would work with before they are ready to work with your client. All right. So you've finished working with your client. Who do you pass it off to? So it's that whole customer journey. Who needs to work with someone before you that you can be passed off to as next? Who works alongside you? And finally, who is the person that works with your client after you are done working with them? Okay, again, we still haven't got to the networking event. We have to think about when those referrals happen, what is really happening? What happens when you make a referral? So the first thing, you are seen as a person of generosity. You are willing to help other people solve their problem. You're getting no money from it. You're not really doing anything to benefit, except, think about the person you refer to them. That's going to make you valuable in their eyes. You're also seen as this great resource of information and connections. Being known as being a problem solver and being highly connected, we don't really put a price on that, but you can be seen as priceless. And third, when you make a referral, you are putting your reputation on the line. And I can't stress this enough. Before you think of referring to others, you need to think about what is that experience, because whatever that experience is that they have with that person you refer to is going to reflect back on you. So make sure that you really understand who you are referring, the quality that you provide, and it's someone that you feel good referring to. All right, so now we're ready to go to the networking event. Before the event, before you arrive, there are some things that you can do. You want to make sure that you can see if you can find a registration list. Do you know who's there? Do you know who's going to be there? And if you do know who's going to be there, see if you can find them on LinkedIn. Get to know a little bit about who they are. And if you even think about it, connect with them. Say, I'm going to this networking event. I really look forward to seeing you there. Wouldn't that make you feel more interesting if somebody has done the work to get to know you ahead of time? And when you arrive, look at where you're going to position yourself in the room. There's always something about standing on the side and observing how the activity in the room flows. Look and see if there's seating. Where is it that you want to sit? And if you're going to be standing and walking around, when through that room are people ready to actually start having a conversation? Typically not when they walk in the door. And if there's refreshments being served, it's probably after they get their drink and they're ready to, okay, now I'm ready to engage. So position yourself where you're going to be able to have those first conversations. At the networking event, you have to be careful. You don't want to get stuck in having just one conversation. You're there to meet many people. However, I will tell you my goal at a networking event is if I can meet one person, just one conversation with a person that I want to follow up with, That's how I measure success. But as you meet people, really think about, are they the people that you want to follow up with? Are they someone that you want to put in this category of, okay, I know what they do? Qualify and segment the people that you meet at a networking event. And when you're done with the event, make notes. Who did you meet? What were your impressions? What is it that they do? All right. So let's say you've been to that networking event and you've met one or two or even three people that you would like to follow up with. What you do next is you want to set a time for a follow-up meeting, whether it's an in-person coffee conversation, having a meal, or even following up on Zoom, is trying to get something on the calendar. Let's talk about what happens during that coffee conversation and what your goals are as you are there. So again, remember, before you go, you want to do some homework. And I've got 3 questions from one of my friends, Maxwell Bentley, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago. And he's got 3 questions that he asks at every networking coffee that really helps to set the agenda. He even takes this further by sending the questions to the person ahead of time, so they've got some time to think about it. So the 3 questions are, number 1, what is your superpower? By being able to communicate your superpower, it really talks about how you think you're different from others in the industry and sets you up as that person with your zone of genius. The second question does lead to, how do you differ from others in the industry? So what is the unique thing that person brings to the table? It may be a story from their past on why they do what they do. It might be something that they add into a service that other people in their industry don't do. And the third question, which is really important, is who would make a great referral for you? Who is that dream referral that would really change your business? So again, at your networking coffee, in that one-on-one, have an agenda. Do the research on the person before you go so you can ask some really interesting questions. This is your time to dig deeper with them, to be able to understand a little bit more about what they do. And you do the same as well, right? It's a two-way conversation. This is your opportunity to shine too. Then we have to think about, when we're looking at networking, there's another opportunity that you may be neglecting, and those are your ideal clients. The ideal clients that you're already working with. There is no one who knows your process better and what it's like to be on the other side of you than people who are currently or who have previously experienced it. So look at your clients as a referral partner. They're out there. If they've had a great experience, then what is it that you're able to gain from that relationship? And so when you work with people, whether it's currently or in the past, you have to think about, okay, what can I do to reach out to that client to remind them that they're still top of mind? Is there an article you can send them? Is there a new service that you're offering that you would like to offer them to come into as a guest or even at a discount? Look at your timing for your testimonials with your clients. You know, we all want to get testimonials, but the best time to ask for a testimonial is when your client is expressing appreciation for what you have done for them. And if you're interested in understanding what are some questions you can ask to really get great testimonials, reach out and contact me directly. I'd be happy to send you that list. So as we're looking at this relationships that you've had with your clients to make you referral worthy, as we look at your strategic partners of who needs to work with you before or after that partner or right alongside, as we look at determining what networking events to go to and how you maneuver through them, I want you to consider this time of year. Again, it's the end of November. We're getting ready to go into 2025, and we have to look at what is going to be different this time. How are you going to position yourself for success in this new year? I'm looking at that myself. And one reason is I've got a story from my first year in business. It was January 2019. And things have been going pretty well for the first year. I had some traction, but I didn't think about the wind down in December and the ramp up in January. So here it was January 2019, and I was looking to conduct business as usual. The problem was the end of December and beginning of January is a very low time. People are doing other things. They also are resting. They're also ramping up. They're probably doing things working on their business instead of in their business. And so here I was sitting there lonely, no business. And that was something that impacted me deeply. And so I decided I was never going to do that again. So now is the time when you're planting seeds for Q1. Now is the time to plant those engagements for January, February, and March to be having those conversations. So that's why these next couple of months are going to be a great time for networking. And so what I've done is I put together a plan for the next 60 days. I'm going to have 30 networking coffees over the next 60 days to be able to seed my business for 2025 and beyond. So let's look at what that looks like for my next 60 days. So I've got several speaking engagements lined up. Again, putting myself in front of people where I can express my expertise, where they get a chance to work with me, where they can see, do I align with her style? Do I believe in what she's in? So one of them is looking at how companies that have a difficult time losing customers, what are some things that they can do? Another one, companies that are looking at where they're losing employees. What are some things they can do to put all of that together? And finally, one I'm going to do at the beginning of January was just focusing on how to increase your performance, how to make those New Year's resolutions more relevant and why they usually don't work, and how to reimagine a new year for you and how you're going to align those goals. So those 3 speaking engagements are going to put me in front of people to start conversations that can continue on later. That's one area, will be speaking. Second, I'm going to really look at LinkedIn. And if you've been following me on LinkedIn, you know that since January, 5 days a week, I will post on LinkedIn and I'll get on there and engage. So my LinkedIn following has increased, but I've also picked up some people early on in my experience in LinkedIn that probably aren't the best fit for me. So I'm going to go back and review my connections to see who I really know versus who in the early days I was just trying to collect to boost my numbers. I'm also going to look at what LinkedIn events I can attend. Now, this is something I happened on last year. When I find an event that either aligns with what I do or is in conjunction with what I do, I go ahead and register, because when you register, you get access to that registration list. You see who else has signed up to be on there. So even if you don't attend, that's a list of people that you can reach out and connect to. You can follow their post. You can comment on their post so you can become known by them. So it's a great way to network, and it's a common interest that is bringing you together. It's a great way to pull people together. Are there people on LinkedIn that you can turn into strategic referral partners? And you may find them at this event. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of who I really want to follow, and I'm going to put that into a spreadsheet where I've got a LinkedIn system where I invest time every week engaging with them, commenting on their posts, having conversations in the DMs to get to know them better. Instead of it being a business card transaction on LinkedIn of, oh, I follow you, what is something that you can move to the DMs to have a deeper conversation, to ask them a little bit more about how they're doing their service? You know, LinkedIn is a networking event, and I think so many people don't really even think about that. The next thing I'm going to do is I've been a member of several masterminds and coaching groups and industry organizations. I'm going to reach out to offer a networking event to invite them to. Because what happens is when we are networking and someone meets us, You understand fully what you do, but the person that you're speaking to may have a hard time describing it. So I'll be having an event in December. I believe it's December 12th. You're going to hear about that in an upcoming podcast, that it will teach us how to get referrals every day. And it's a way where you can express what you do in a 24/7 manner. So be sure to reach out to ask about that. Also, where will I be networking? And this is something that a colleague of mine asked me. He said, I was working with a business coach and she told me I needed to be networking. You seem to know where to network. So he said, where is it? How many groups do you belong to? So I want to just position to you that you don't have to go to a lot of events, but you do need to look at the ones where you get a good return on investment. You may look at your local Chamber of Commerce, which is an open networking event. And when you go to these events, look at the type of people that are there. Are they your potential prospects? Do they know your prospects? And if they're not, then that may not be the best event for you. You can also look at closed networking groups. So these are networking groups that you belong to, usually pay a fee to belong to this organization, and there is only one person sitting at the table that is in your industry. And so anyone in that group who would need someone in your industry, it would be likely they would refer to you. So that's a closed networking group. But I am also looking specifically at a national B2B networking group. I'm evaluating that right now, and I'll be attending an event at the end of February to get to know the people that are in there a little bit more before I make the commitment to join. I'm also committed to a executive networking group in the Atlanta area for C-suite executives. Many of these people, I've been in their shoes. When they leave corporate to start their own business, they often struggle with what is the value they bring and even who they are, because they're no longer their job description. I'm also a member of an exit planning group. So companies who are founder-led that are getting ready to exit, they may need to know what their next step is, or within their company, as they want to increase their business valuation, they may need to position themselves in the marketplace and create a culture where people want to work. So you can see how I choose my networking groups. I become much more strategic about it. Less the big open networking groups, more about the closed networking groups of who is sitting at the table. Do they know my client? And then also some very strategic groups that work with my clients already. Podcasts are also a great resource for me. I meet people who want to be on the podcast. I meet other people who want me to be on their podcast, but it's a great way to have conversations. Who do you know conversations? You're not selling to the person in the conversation, but you definitely can be a resource for them. And so as I look at having my 30 coffees in the next 60 days, and I want to also point out these 60 days are 60 working days. They're not 60 calendar days. So the next 3 months to have those 30 coffees, what does that mean? It means I need to have 10 networking coffees a month, which really is, not really that many. 2.5 networking coffees a week, very doable. Will they all be in person? Probably not. I'm going to really shoot for maybe about 30% of those to be in person, but I'm looking for those other 20 coffees to be virtual and online. So that's my plan for the next 90 days or the next 60 days of networking. Having those 30 coffees, really looking at where I need to find my strategic referral partners, being able to hone down and peel off what I don't need. When you clear off the clutter, you've got more space to breathe. And so that's really what I'm looking at doing. So what about you? What are you going to do at the end of 2024 as you move into 2025? Are you going to spend your time networking where you just show up at the event and see what happens? Or are you going to be more strategic about it to know who it is that you're looking for, how you can communicate your value, and how you can build a network that really expresses into your net worth? All right, that's it for this week. I hope you join me next week where we're going to have some more information about networking. And until then, I hope you go chase your passion. It will lead to your purpose and help you show up as that personal brand of integrity. It's when we work in joy for what we do that we find our legendary selves. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.